right. Are we recording, streaming? Nope. If you can. Alrighty. If folks could take your seats, we'll be getting started. I know it's. And once we have a thumbs up that the video is streaming as well for folks that might be watching online, we'll get going. Everybody stare at Amanda. Alrighty. All right, if Amanda says we're good, we are good. Morning, everybody. This is going to be our regular BOCC meeting for June 30th of 2021. Before we call the roll, I'd like to invite Pastor Bob Meyer up to provide the invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Thank you for inviting me, and let's talk to the Lord. Father, tonight or today, before we get into all the business, we stop to remember who you are and who we are in relationship with you. We understand that we have responsibilities on this earth, and we desire to do those well. But we also recognize that the ultimate authority for everything resides with you. These are troubling times for our nation, and yet we know that you are moving history to a predetermined point, and we rest in that. At the same time, Lord, we pray that you would be working powerfully in our community and in our nation. We ask that you'd bring about a great spiritual awakening where increasing numbers of people come to trust in Jesus as their Savior and live out that faith. And we pray, too, for a political awakening as more and more people see the truth and start recognizing what lies before us. The choice is very clear between evil and good. And here in our local area, I pray for our county commissioners. Give them your wisdom day by day. Direct them to understand, open the eyes of their heart, to understand what's happening in the world and the role that they can play in standing for that which is good. I pray for all of our local law enforcement and first responders. Protect them. They're in greater danger than ever. Protect them and draw them into close relationship with you so they have faith in you. We commit this hour to you, knowing that you're here with us, that you want to work. Open our hearts to understand what you want us to do. In Jesus' name we pray. And let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, the time's now 9:04. Amanda, could you call the roll, please? Here?
Here.
Here. Alrighty, the first order of business we have is just approval of the agenda. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Next item is the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to approve the items on consent as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, elected officials, department head, staff reports. Do we have any elected officials that have anything today? Okay. Oh, Sherry?
Elbert County Treasurer and Public Trustee. Just wanted everyone to know that the delinquent notices will go out, probably be mailed this afternoon and in the morning. It says delinquent notice on, but more or less it's a reminder, so don't get mad at me if you get one. If you have any questions, give us a call. And just FYI, we are sending out 125 more this year than we did last year during COVID. So I, figure that one out. But anyway, just so people know they're coming. It doesn't mean anything yet. So just, like I said, if you have any questions, give us a call. Okay?
Thank you, Sherry. Any
Thank you.
questions? No? Okay, thanks. From the staff, Bart, I think you had some.
County Attorney Bart Greer. Earlier this year, we updated the county manager policy, and I will be submitting an updated county attorney policy for the next agenda, covering some of the same updates that we did for the county attorney's policy. Some of the updates are based on law, some are fiscal in nature, based on spending limits and those sorts of things. And so just kind of priming the pump at this point so that you and the public's aware that that is on its way for the next agenda.
Thanks. Any questions or comments? Okay, thanks. Any other staff have any other updates? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to open public comment. And this is a time for anybody that's present to speak on any issue that's not going to be on the agenda today. Paige, if you could give your name and address, and you've got 3 minutes.
Paige Evans from 16776 County Road 110 in Kiowa. And I represent the Elbert County Stands Up organization. And I just want to make available to everybody a flyer that has a seminar noted, which is coming up on the 18th of July. And it is Must Know Law for Civil Unrest. It's being put on by the Legal Defense group, the U.S. Law Shield group. We've had them before, and it was greatly well received. So people are looking forward to having a second seminar, and this is on civil unrest, Sunday, July 18th. And everybody is welcome, and I have flyers if you want one. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you have anybody else in the room that has any comments at this time? Okay, seeing none. Amanda, did we have anybody that wanted to be called or any email comments? Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll close public comment. We had nothing on for discussion. This is generally a time where we would talk about items that may be coming to action at future meetings, but get some details out and provide an opportunity for us to give guidance to the staff. But kind of we've kind of hit the slow point in the summer where audits from last year are just about done. We haven't really gotten into next year's budget, and we have about 2 weeks of relative calm in the county. So with that, I'll move on to action items. The first item we have is actually a public hearing. It's to consider the transfer of the Meadows Market liquor license. So I would accept a motion to open public hearing on this item.
So moved.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to open public hearing on the consideration of the Meadows Market license transfer. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're in public hearing. So Amanda, this was pretty straightforward. So
Yeah, it's just an application to transfer the liquor license for Meadows Market. There's a new owner, PG One LLC. They purchased the building, and then it would be ran as a DBA, Meadows Market. All fees have been paid. The application is complete. The background check has been done, and staff has no concerns.
okay. And you received no comment for or against
I have
prior
not
to?
received any comments.
Okay. So do we have anybody that would like to comment on this in the room? Seeing none, I'd close public comment on this. Any discussion at the table? No, okay. Pretty straightforward. It's Gary, who's run it and started the businesses, I guess, earned a good and well-deserved retirement. He's been serving the community up there for a long time. So Alrighty, so with that, I'd accept a motion to approve the transfer.
I'll make a motion, we approve the transfer of the Meadows Market liquor license.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the transfer. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. I'd accept a motion to close public hearing on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close public hearing on the Meadows Market liquor license transfer.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the hearing is closed. Next item is approval of the June 16th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the June 16th, 2021 minutes and dispense with the reading.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our last meeting and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. The next item we have is its approval of an intergovernmental agreement for the assessment, collection, and remittance of emergency services impact fees. And that was an agreement between ourselves and Elizabeth Fire. Can you give us some background on that?
Sure, Park Greer County Attorney. This is simply an update to the intergovernmental agreement. Previously, for a couple of fire districts, but primarily in this instance with Elizabeth Fire District, we collected certain fees. As a result of that, we did receive a 3% portion of that for our overhead and costs and that sort of thing. That is now something that they are collecting. So we are updating the intergovernmental agreement to reflect that change.
Thanks. Any comment or discussion up here?
No, it's pretty clear what it is.
Yeah. Anything, public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, I would accept a motion to approve the IGA as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the IGA for the assessment, collection, and remittance of emergency services impact fees.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the IGA that was presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, next one, I promise there's a little more substance too. So we're going to be talking a bit about a updated public works maintenance shop. So something that staff's been working on for a couple of years now and is getting closer. So.
Commissioners, Rory Hale, Director of Public Works. We've talked about this for probably the past couple weeks. This is a resolution that allows the county to reimburse itself from the proceeds of financing for a new public works facility. And if you don't mind, I'll just read the resolution to you. Resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Elbert County declaring its official intent to reimburse itself with proceeds of a future tax-exempt borrowing for the financing of the acquisition, construction, and equipping of a new public workshop and providing for reimbursement of money upon the execution and delivery of a lease purchase agreement. We've had discussions with our financial consultants. Tony's been involved with that along with Kyrie and Bobby. As we previously discussed, there's an audit that's in process at this point. It's going to take about 2 weeks. And then we've got another probably 30 to 40 days for financing. So again, this just gives us the ability to reimburse ourselves. We've already expended $7,000 to get us to this point. So I would appreciate your consideration on this resolution.
Yeah, and just for those that don't watch every meeting that we have online or attend all, this is all, like as I said, it's the outgrowth of many years of work. For anybody that's seen the shop out back that was built in 1938 and doesn't really hold the equipment that Road and Bridge currently uses and requires some pretty tight turns on and off the town streets, it's just inadequate and potentially unsafe for the folks that are in there. What Road and Bridge is proposing is the building of a new shop, financed through the sales and use taxes that are already collected, no increase to the citizens, and with rising construction costs and currently very low financing rates, this is probably the best time to put together a new facility that'll serve us for the next many decades. So I said, we've had a few public workshop on this, a few others. But it's kind of time to make sure that we've kind of covered the costs that have put in, that at the moment you said we're pretty low, but, you know, if we want to move forward with getting firm designs put down and get good costs and strike while financing is low, this is kind of the time to do it, so. Do you have any questions or comments?
No, the only comment I have is that there's been a lot of planning that's gone into this, and
Yes.
we appreciate the hard work you've put in.
Well, and I want to compliment staff, Tony and Ethan, Monty, and Bobby. Kyrie's not here today, but these guys have put a lot of time and effort into doing this. And we want to do it right. So, good job, guys.
Any public comment on this? We are in the process of acquiring a piece of property near town. I don't think we've got the final, I don't think we've received the final contract back.
Today.
We're expecting that today, but easy access to 86, and apologize for not being more definitive, but we don't want to play our hand if there's somebody else who thinks it would be a good property to bid against the county on, so. But the other piece of that, though, is it'll allow Road and Bridge to move off the northern end of the fairgrounds, so for future expansion and adding to the amenities at the fairground, that becomes very important for the future, too. So. Alrighty, so with that, I'd accept a motion to approve the resolution that was provided.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Public Works resolution.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the resolution. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, also, while you're up, I understand there's a contract in the works with Wold, who is the designer of that we've expended money with already. I would like to ask if we can get a public workshop scheduled sometime next week to review the contract, and then if there's no issues that come out of that, I think that one is at a level that would come to me for signature. So if that works contract-wise with the attorney.
Yes,
with
our
you.
career county attorney, I've had an opportunity to review, make suggested changes, or ask for changes. All those changes have been made. So I'm satisfied from a legal standpoint, but you know, we can certainly go through with a fine-tooth comb and make sure it meets all of the requirements for Road and Bridge, that nothing has changed in the interim. We can certainly do that.
Okay, yeah. So with that, we'll have to check our calendars, but if 9 o'clock next Wednesday works, that's probably the best standing time we have, but I think that would be good to take one last azimuth check before we embark on committing funds.
Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so if I could, I guess just to make it as clean as possible, if I could get a motion that once contract is reviewed in an open public workshop, if there are no issues or concerns at that time, that I be granted the authority to sign that contract.
So moved.
Now second.
We have a motion and a second to provide the chair of the BOCC the authority to sign contract with Wold for the construction of a new maintenance shop after a public workshop is held to review all the specifications. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. All righty. The next one, and I think is most appropriate as we roll into the 4th of July weekend, is a consideration of a proclamation in recognition of Independence Day and recommitting our county to our nation's founding principles. This is kind of the outcome of, well, I suppose 245 years worth of efforts in our nation, but a couple of months of effort here in the county. I think it was in late March or early April, we had a group of citizens attend a BOCC meeting requesting that we look at declaring the county a constitutional county. There have been others that had done so in the nation. It was a title with, each had approached things a little differently. It was something we are committed to. We've had quite a bit of discussion, and I think meeting at our meeting at the end of, I don't know what it was, middle of last month or middle of this month. It all kind of comes together, but we had pretty extensive discussion, and we did decide we wanted to take action. It was just what was left open was how we were going to document kind of our governmental philosophy, which does track with what I think everybody in this room would agree with, and everybody in this county. But we've taken quite a few actions along the way. I mean, we do recognize when the state overreaches, and in those cases, we've pushed back with letters, we've made statements of our own, or we've just gone our own way and done the right things for our citizens. And that's something I think we're expected to do, and we will continue doing. But to kind of document where we're at, and I've talked to all the elected officials. They all could not be here today, but all have certainly shown that there's their support for what's in the proclamation. But I will read it, and then we'll take some public comment, and we'll take a motion to consider the signature of it. But here's what we have, and with a minor typo that's been corrected that was in the packet. It does read, it's an Elbert County proclamation recognizing our nation's independence and safeguarding our citizens' rights, to take effect July 4th, 2021. And it reads, whereas on July 4th, 1776, our forefathers signed the Declaration of Independence, establishing our nation based on three fundamental principles. One, that all men are created equal and endowed with the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Two, that the primary purpose of government is to protect these rights. And three, that a government that does not uphold these rights is illegitimate. And whereas upon these principles, the people of the United States ordained and established the Constitution of the United States of America, and whereas the Constitution established a federal republic with democratically elected representation that reserved those powers not granted to the government of the United States of America, to the individual states and the people, and whereas the state of Colorado was then granted certain powers by a vote of the people on July 1st, 1876, approving the Constitution of Colorado, which in part provides authority to create political subdivisions, and whereas Elbert County government was formed in 1874, 2 years prior to Colorado gaining statehood, and is a properly formed political subdivision of the state, with responsibilities that include implementation of many state programs at the local level and enforcement of state laws. And whereas Elbert County government officials are installed by a vote of the people and swear oaths by the ever-living God to support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of Colorado, and the laws of the state of Colorado. And whereas the Elbert County Board of Commissioners has recognized and responded to increasingly frequent actions by both the legislative and executive branches of the state that infringe upon the rights and freedoms of our citizens and seemingly violate current statutes and or purposely negate initiatives passed by the vote of the people of Colorado. And whereas citizens and businesses of this county have been impacted materially and negatively by the actions of higher levels of government, and many have reached out for assurance that their local government will stand with them. Now, therefore, the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners does hereby formally recognize the 245th Independence Day. And on this day, the importance of, one, celebrating the principles upon which our nation and state were founded. 2, preserving both the intent and the letter of the Colorado and U.S. Constitution. And 3, placing the protection of individual rights and freedoms ahead of all other considerations when this government acts. And furthermore, be it known by all that Elbert County government, as a government closest to the people, will continue to take all actions necessary and proper to preserve and protect the rights of all citizens and will not tolerate abuse of our freedoms. And there's signature blocks for the 3 of us. So, thank you. With that, do you have any comments?
No, I'd sure like to hear public comment.
Okay. I'd open this item up for public comment at this time. Maggie?
Okay, Maggie Witherby, 44447 Homestead Road in Sun Country, location of Meadows Market. Thank you very much. First of all, I've got some copies of the proclamation. If anybody would like to have copies. And also another document, and I'm not sure I've got enough for everybody, but we'll see how far it goes.
Yeah, just for the copy in the packet, there was one typo where it said Colorado statues versus statutes. We treasure our statues too, but it was the
And
formal.
I took the one offline, so it may have a little typo in it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, commissioners. We really appreciate your action on this, and we certainly have been appreciate working with you over the last few months in getting together a statement that reaffirms all of our commitment to that document, the U.S. Constitution and our Bill of Rights. We have been working for many months, and the role of Elbert County Stands Up has been to provide information. We've provided information on what other counties, what other towns, and even recently we provided information on what several counties in Nevada have done. They've taken a very different approach, but it's a very interesting one as well. So we've provided that information, and basically our position has been to provide that information and let our commissioners examine it, review it, and come together with their statement. So what you have before you today is their statement. It's not a rerun of the Town of Monument, or it's not a rerun of Rangeley, or it's not a rerun of El Paso County. So it's their statement. And I want to say that anyone who would put something like this together would probably do it differently. We might use different words or different phrases, but I think what we're looking at is the intent, and I see the intent is there. We know that we've been through a very confusing year and a half with all of this COVID business. It's been confusing with everyone, but I think one of the reasons Elbert County Stands Up came into existence was we saw our freedoms being erased at an amazing speed, and it really concerned us. And so with this statement, we're really looking forward. We need to protect our citizens and our rights and our freedoms going forward. We can't do anything about what's happened in the last year and a half. It's been crazy for everyone. So what we need to do is look forward. I've also passed out information on what I've talked about before, the doctrine of lesser magistrate, and that's where the local government does have the right to stand up against the state or the federal government when those entities are acting in a way that are not on behalf of the people. So that's something that we really want to educate all of our people about, is that we, at the local level, we really can stand up for ourselves when we need to. So I want to thank you again for working with us, being patient with us as well, as we've kind of been nudging and pushing you along, and we appreciate all the work that you've done and responding to the people of Elbert County. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Maggie. Do we have any other comment on this item?
Tom Peterson, 1366 Conifer Trail, and I want to echo what Maggie said and thank you for putting this together. I think the dual function of recognizing our nation's independence and safeguarding the citizens' right is spot on. And so thank you. Well written, thoughtful, thorough, complete, and the timing couldn't be better as we enter the weekend here, July 4th, Independence Day. So thank you for doing this and for underscoring the principles of our founding fathers of limited constitutional government. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comment? Okay, seeing none, I'd close public comment on the item and accept a motion to approve the proclamation as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve and endorse the proclamation as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. And even though we've already voted, I would ask for any comment. Yeah, well, probably should have done that before. But.
No, the only comment I have is that I'm a legal immigrant, and when I got made a citizen of the country, I recognize this stuff, and I think it's great.
Just thinking back on, everything that's gone on in the past years and stuff, we've got to think about our kids and grandkids and what's happening to them and, start standing up for some of this stuff, I think, because our kids and grandkids and what they're going to have to go through, paying back debt and everything else is really going to change how they look at the world and what's going on.
Yeah, just to echo my fellow commissioners, I do appreciate the gentle pushing along the way. No, I mean, our job day to day is largely ministerial and managerial, and taking the time to sit down and think about why versus what we do is incredibly important. Sure. Yes. But please, to the mic. If you could at the mic, just so anybody that's watching is captured.
And I'm sorry I didn't say it before. In working with our commissioners, I was on a phone conversation with Chris, and we were talking about various things, and Chris said, well, why not, we were talking about Elbert County Stands Up, which is very important that we stand up for our freedoms and liberties. And Chris said, well, why not Elbert County Stands Together? And I thought, that's wonderful. And we do use that, and I want to credit you because you're the one that said that and thought of that, and we are using that. And I think that's really important as we all go forward, because in order to go forward and succeed in the future, relative to what Rick is alluding to, we need to be working together. So thank you very much again.
Thank you. While you're up, I'd like to invite you and Paige up, and we'll take a picture with the proclamation. All righty. Again, thank you much for your efforts in this. So, our next item and the last we have for action today is approval of the annual core plan for human services, essentially a renewed contract for the funding from the state for services that are provided here in the county. Is there anything to add to that, Bart?
No, this is the time of year when the state fiscal year for this type of thing is beginning again. This is fairly standard with regard to human services and state contracts associated with that. I haven't had a chance to take a look at that, and I did not have any issues with that. It's fairly standard.
Okay, thank you. Any public input on this item? Okay, seeing none. Any?
I'll make a motion, we approve the annual core plan for human services.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve the annual core plan for human services. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, that's the last of our action items. For board planning, did mention we'll double check calendars, but I'd like to schedule a public workshop to review the Wold contract for the a new road and bridge shop on next Wednesday at 9. I believe we have a vacancy to appoint to for the Planning Commission in Commissioner Thayer's district. We do need to update the membership on the Building Authority. We've had some staff changes, and just to put the appropriate folks on that. The update to the attorney policy was discussed. And probably the most exciting will be a review of the 2020 audit report. For anybody that receives audit reports, it takes a special person for those to be exciting, but actually, and we prefer when they're not exciting. So, we do have one item that was scheduled for public hearing this afternoon at 1 p.m. There was some late information coming in from the applicant that our engineer is still reviewing, so that item we'll open the meeting and open the hearing, but it'll be continued to the July 14th meeting for consideration. So, with that, unless you guys have anything to add for board planning? No. Okay, then we're in recess till 1300. We'll reconvene here to open and continue the one land use hearing. Thanks for coming out this morning, folks.